Welcome to the Starting Over podcast. I'm your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is a show where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. Oh man, it's an interesting day. I got a cold, and I'm tired. I'm really tired, and I am. I wouldn't say I'm like holding it together, but let's just say work was not the best day of work this week, or best days of work this week. So today's topic is a little bit interesting, and the main reason I even bringing it up primarily is it's an experience that happened to me this week. So I was at the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art because I'm a dapper young man, and while I was there, I was at an event with my friend, and he was like, hey, you need to check this out. So they had a live band, and I was there dancing with some ladies, and sort of just having a good time. And then I ran into to two ladies, you could say like mid to late 40s, that I knew from the salsa club, and I was talking to them and laughing about the whole experience of dancing in the museum, and I told them my experiences dancing in the salsa club, and then dancing in a normal club, sort of like this. When you're in the salsa club, and you know how to salsa, you're Clark Kent. I mean, you're Kal-El on Krypton. You're surrounded by a bunch of other excellent people. You're just you. You're just another guy. Okay. But when I go out to other clubs that really are, I would say more influenced in gluteus shaking, doing something as simple as like a turn, or being able to, move a lady around on the dance floor, all of a sudden you become Superman on Earth. And so when I told them that, they laughed, and they got the joke. But there was a thought that sort of traveled with me, and the thought was this: it was being Superman on Krypton. Being Superman on Krypton. And I've been reading and listening to a lot of books lately, just trying to take the podcast analysis in my team's growth to the next level, because I recognize the state that we're at in the game. If I definitely don't, and I do a lot of heroclix podcasting and a lot of interactions, then I'm, hey, I feel sorry for a lot of other people trying to figure things out. Like I've got a good grasp. It's not even perfect, but I've got a pretty decent grasp of what's going on and why things are going on the way they are. But to get to that next level, I had to realize, okay, I need to start being Superman on Krypton. All right, so let's break this down. Why did I come to this conclusion? And it goes back to dance. So I'm sitting in salsa class on Wednesday. On Wednesday. Yeah, one of these days. Anyway, I was in salsa class, and it was getting rough for your boy. Like the warm ups, the opening combination. Gosh, I was not on it. Okay, I was definitely not on it. I was trying to get my footwork down. I was trying to, make sure that my balance is right. And I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'1", for those people who don't know, who's never seen me in person. I'm 6'1", and I average between 255 pounds and 262, depending how much or little I have danced or how much cheesecake I have consumed. I'm working on the cheesecake. But we'll come back to that cheesecake part here in a bit. And so there was a point in my interactions that I'm just like, I'm stuck. I'm going to be stuck at my 102 level, because in the studio that I go to, it's 101, which is your introductory. 102 is your next step. 103, and then there is 200, and then there's breakdowns within 200, and then there's your semi-apprenticeship, then apprenticeship, and then co-teacher. So there are all these different levels that if you want to go that far, you can. And so for a moment, I was like, pity me. I have reached the pinnacle of my ability. I can't be, any better than what I am. I can't be the super awesome guy in the salsa club, but I can get my jollies and feel really great about being the best dancer in, the normal club. And so then I had to sort of like slap myself figuratively out of it and then say, okay, I want to be excellent in a excellent field among excellent people. I want to be Superman on Krypton. I want to have the full abilities of Superman on Earth on Krypton. I want that scaleness to be recognized. Okay. So that's where like the you could say the crux of it and the birth through the crucible of this whole thought process has occurred. And then some of you were like, hey man, this is an in your head episode that I'm not feeling quite yet. And I'm like, cool, I'll check you next week. I might be talking about Mxyzptlk or something like everybody else, which right now he's like the hotness that everybody is focused on. I wouldn't be surprised that people start playing Copycat again to deal with Mxyzptlk. But there you go. There's your 200% meta-analysis right there. So anyway, so when we sort of round things out, there are a couple of different aspects that we need to look at with being Superman on Krypton. First of all, recognizing danger. Second of all, recognizing the type of hero that we are. And then the third of all is understanding the role of interdependence. Okay, so understanding danger, understanding the hero that we are, and then understanding interdependence. Okay, all right, so let's start off. Krypton is blowing up. Krypton is a constant state of blowing up. Everything around you is toxic and is designed to kill you. Okay? The kryptonite is spewing out and you're flying through there, picking up people, saving the day. You have to recognize being Superman on Krypton means that in the midst of the chaos, people are looking at you, people are admiring you, but the situation is dire. So dire. Okay. And one main reason, like I've sort of come to this conclusion, is that in the books that I've read, a lot of books about willpower, about how to deal with political interactions, and even economics, shows that people are evil, inherently evil and prideful, and status driven. We are a status driven species. And you might say, Edward, that's a bit nihilistic. And is that your Christianity influencing your sin-based worldview? No. Usually when I like look at books and stuff, my theological worldview does kick in, but I sort of try to take it in from the author's perspective. But no, these cats are no ways religious, and they're three different fields, and they hit the same note. Okay, so don't think that these elements don't go on with you, or go on around you, that people being evil or you're being evil. Okay, and there's a danger to that. And you might say, well, I'm not going around killing people, and I'm not going around, cheating on my wife. And I'm like, yeah, that's evil. That's evil. But also there's other types of evil that we deem tolerable because we deem it necessary for living. So let me sort of go into that a little bit. one example is this. In one of the books I was reading was talking about these special cookies, and they were advertised as being fat-free special cookie, or let me say sugar-free cookies when they first came out. Okay, so dieters were consuming these cookies, like just shoving them in their gullet so fast. Yum, 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 yum. Okay, like I love cheesecake. Okay. And they're exercising really hard and they're wondering, why am I not losing weight? Why am I not getting the results I want? Well, because that cookie that is sugar-free is pounded full of trans fats and salt and artificial flavorings and preservatives and other things that completely negate the advantage that it's sugar-free. And so people thought that the advertisement of sugar-free entitled them to eat without restraint or without thought. It was so destructive, this mindset, that researchers found out that the company ended up stop advertising this particular cookie the way that they did. You could say it's corporate responsibility, but others since then have manipulated it. That syndrome. Now you might say, what does cookies have to do with heroclix? Well, there's a couple things that we learned from the cookie thing. First off, after working, you will tell yourself, I'm entitled to have. And I see this in heroclix a lot. I bought the figures. I'm entitled to have a win and get the LE. I play a lot. I should be winning. I listen to the what's on the forums. I read what's on the forums. I deserve to be a better player. I put my time in and listen to somebody else's advice. Therefore, they owe me a win. They owe me for me being a better player. They owe me for getting to the position that I want. Okay. Not only that, the people that made the cookie knew what they were doing, and they played up all the best parts of the cookie and never told anybody about the bad parts. And how we see this in heroclix is you will have people trying to give advice and not factor in the type of player that's playing the team. People will tell folks like, hey, guy, it's sort of sucky, but just play casual. Or you'll hear people say, you know what, guy? Everybody in your venue are punks. You're way better than them. Just, power through it and just crush them every week. So you are they're sort of saying, hey, here's this meta cookie that I'm giving you. Here's this under this thought process cookie I'm giving you. But I'm going to tell you it's sugar free so that you guzzle it and you keep coming back to me, because there's a reward system for you to keep coming back to me. Okay. So you could say, to an extent, it's and I'm going to unpack this a little bit more in the Destruction and Evil, a master to slave relationship. A master to slave relationship. Or you can, in a more modern terms, a dealer to a fiend relationship. A dealer to a fiend. Okay. So you sort of take it on to the local venue area in this unraveling of evil. And again, you can go listen to your evolutionary psychologist, and heck, even Dawkins within the book Selfish Gene talks about the fact that we are individually driven and DNA don't care about your ethics. Okay. All right. So if Dawkins, secular humanist could say that, he won't say blah, blah, blah is evil, but he'll say blah, blah, blah is not preferable to me. But it's the same thing. He can't ignore the fact of evil and the nature of people. But due to his worldview, he can't acknowledge it, because to acknowledge it has to acknowledge a transcendent. Not necessarily God, quote unquote, but there is something beyond matter. And then you can't measure something beyond matter with science. So then there's a problem. Okay. Anyway, going on. You go into your local venue, and this is something I picked up between a little bit of Dawkins and a little bit of this willpower book. And it talked about decision making. And decision making is very taxing. Several things about willpower that the Green Lantern Corps didn't tell us. Number one, for humans, you get a bank of it at the beginning of the day. That's it. You have X amount of line of credit. Once your credit is gone, you are sort of screwed. Okay. The next thing is that you make more. The more active decisions that you make, the more of this currency you spend. Without proper calorie and blood sugar management, you go through willpower really fast, like a trophy wife on, Rodeo Drive. Like, your money is gone. Your willpower money is gone. Okay, homie. All right. So what we find out is about ourselves. This is the scientist lady that wrote the book telling me this. When people are tired and hungry, lack of sleep, exhausted, our brains shut down our higher cognitive processing center. Right there. And we tend to fall back onto instinct and stereotypes. Okay, let me, and like I said, people are evil. And so when you look at a company actually preying on that mindset of this actual truth, is Snickers. You know how that they have this whole "you're not you when you're hungry." It is true and it's not true. You are not the cognitive you when you are hungry. Your decision making is very flawed. If you go and grocery shop while you are hungry, your willpower will not tell you, do not pick up those Oreo Goldens. Okay? Your mind will go and say, forget the kale salad. I need energy, fool, and I need it right freaking now. Right freaking now. And if you do not get me this, I will shut down the part that tells me that I shouldn't be doing this, and I will do this. That's what your brain is. Your brain on hunger is a beast. Literally a beast. You're like, that rotting carcass over there. Ooh, I'm hungry. Oh, I can't eat that. Nope, you're gonna. You see the bees inside? Eat that honey. Eat that honey, Samson. Eat it. You know you want to, 'cause you're hungry. Okay? So your companies know that if you go to the grocery store hungry, you're more likely to buy things that are bad for you health-wise. And if they can make it look as appealing as possible through color, through smell, through sounds in the store, you'll buy way more and buy things that aren't good for you. We utilize this all the time. Now, is that taking advantage of people in a weakened state? Yes, it is. Okay. Now, going back to heroclix. Why is this an issue? You will see people go and play heroclix for personal validation. You will see people play heroclix so that they can get a sense of community. Any threat to that sense of community, they will fight it with tooth and nail. People play heroclix to have a sense of pseudo-intellectualism. That's not even intellectualism. Oh, look, I play this game. It's not D&D. It requires me to cognitively think, and I don't throw, insane amounts of money at it like I would at Warhammer or insert other minis game here. Okay. And so all of these factors are drives for people. Okay. I can always sort of tell when someone just found my channel because, what I'll sort of notice is like a bunch of older videos will get views, and it's not necessarily in chronological order, but sometimes it is in chronological order where all of a sudden like a 2-year-old video is getting, looked at, and that's fine. And I don't mind that, but I do notice that in people going through the back catalog of stuff, because there's great stuff in there. Then all of a sudden I'll get an email, be like, dude, I just listened to a ton of your stuff. And I'll be like, all right, thanks. I appreciate it, because I do. And then they'll be like, hey, I think we should talk and, share information and stuff, because I think I got a lot of things that I can show you. And I'm like, okay, cool. How long have you been playing the game? I just started. And I'm like, okay. And you might say, well, how Dark Logos, how often does that happen? I at least probably get like 2 a year. Somewhere along those lines. And what happens is a person thinks like, okay, I feel validated. I have all this information. He's told me everything. So now I'm his equal. And now I should be able to have full access to him and exchange my ideas, and then I can influence the great Dark Logos. And it's just like Oz. You think I'm great, but I'm a man literally behind a digital curtain manipulating a machine. Like I'm working a computer. There is no more, all powerful Oz example than this. Okay. All right. You come meet me in real life and we'll talk, and you'll be like, he doesn't sound as interesting as he did on the interwebs. So sort of coming back, there's all these things that come in, like, we talk about nerd rage within, geek culture. And if you go back to, the food element of you're not eating properly, you don't have enough calories to sort of, use your mind properly. Imagine the impact of having lack of sleep. Okay. You hit a caffeine crash and you don't have sufficient nutrients in your body. And then your opponent plays the following: Composite Superman, Mitzelplick, the Chase Superman, with the entity on Chase Superman and Composite Superman, and then for all giggles, because he's trying to learn how to use it, play Pandora's Box. Now, if that, and I'm assuming right now while you're listening to me, you're either at work or you're on your train heading somewhere or something. Okay, you in a normal neutral state are like, blah. Your brain is already like, no, not processing that team today, not today. Okay, imagine somebody that's tired that has to face that. And if I told you, like I told you before, when you are hungry and tired, your brain will shut down your frontal cortex. It will start to drain nutrients, will reduce the nutrients of your frontal cortex. So if that's the case, the guy is literally impaired. He is fighting with a handicap. And then you hit, core issues of, maybe improper self-image. His pride and self-identity comes from this game. All sorts of stuff. Again, like I said, people are status-driven and evil. Okay? And then all of a sudden, he's losing status because he's losing to the noob. Okay? Because we all make fun of the guy that's experienced it, loses to the noob. I've experienced it. Everybody's experienced it eventually. Okay? The noob's first tournament win, and everybody's like, okay, grats, good for you, it's about time. Now, then the blood comes out, like the teeth get completely unsheathed, the knives, of dark lore come out, and then it's like, it's time for the battle. The purging must commence. Bring forth all of the evils of the old gods. That's what happens in a venue once a newbie wins their first tournament. All the old cats are like, yes, we can have blood sport once again. But anyway, going back, you have these things that happen, and the guy is exhausted. And he acts in a way that's exhausted. Just pure and simple. And the culture tells you to do things that will not make you physically better, but intellectually worse. And it perpetuates the cycle of this nerd rage. Because even with geeks, we do have alpha, beta, and even down to zeta male hierarchy within the group. In spite of, quote unquote, that's what jocks and all those other people do. Like, no. That's what humans do, and we're humans. Okay? So, that's understanding the danger. And I know it's like, oh, it's 25 minutes. This is going to be one of those casts. Trust me, the first take of this was like 50 minutes. So, let's go into what type of Superman are you? Again, we're Superman on Krypton. Krypton's blowing up. Okay? There's people trying to hold you down. But you gotta keep on moving. It's like a jungle sometimes. Sometimes I wonder how it's gonna take us under. Oh, I butchered that so bad. Anyway, what type of hero are you? And I have 2 guys I'm training. And right now, and I've given both the same information functionally. Okay. But I have tailored the information to the type of people they are. So they're covering the same subject matters, but I'm emphasizing different things to each of them. Okay. Now, you might say, well, Dark Logos, are you like hamstringing your guys? You're not telling them exactly what the other one is knowing. And I would say, no, I'm not, because not all information is beneficial for them to be the best them. And I'm just going to say it. Not all information is beneficial for you to be the best you. Okay. So, for example, let's go back to that master-slave mentality that goes on in the game. People will say, oh, man, did you see what Phil played? And Phil went against the meta, and Phil did this and did that. And did you see what Patrick played? He did this, he did that. Did you see what Goku played? He did this, he did that. Did you see what that kid played? Oh, yeah, man, that little kid, he's great. I don't even know his name. Yeah, little kid, go. He's doing heroclix, but he played the meta, and I gotta play the meta too. Okay. Do you see who's leading? What's leading? And again, status-driven species. Why are we looking up to winners? Because they're winners, and in our cult, in our nature, we assign privilege to winners, and we are selfish beings that want privilege. Okay, we want privilege. The only privileges you get is that you get known on the internet, but we don't translate that. You're just internet famous and people talk to you. No one gets translated about, the user people that come along with gaining status, because folks try to use other folks to gain status so they have status, or at least get the benefits of status. But in knowing what type of player you are, you're not trying to put on Phil's armor or Patrick's armor and squeeze your body into it, and then pick up your sword and your shield, put on your helmet, and then go out there and fight. It just doesn't work. It's not tailored for you. It's not protecting you. You got muffin top with your armor. That's not working. Okay, that's not working at all. All right. You're trying to be Phil, and you don't like the concept of Colossals being able to be shot by all these different characters. It annoys you. You want to be like Patrick, but you don't have the flexibility to use multiple styles of play. You want to be Dan and have 2 championships, but you don't want to put in the work of finding the most efficient path. The path of water down the hill is Dan's, mindset. The most efficient path, gravity's going to dictate that water to go down that way. Okay. You want to be, you want to be Paris, but you don't want to understand what it means to lead a group of guys and then be their tinkerer and be their builder. Okay. And then start from scratch and giving instructive advice to people. So you want to be Alex Avila, but you don't have, you have a high anxiety, practicing measures that are psychological deceit. And that's not a slam against him. It's just his teams are crafty, and most people do not understand on first glance what his teams do. He does a lot of sleight of hand psychologically on his team building. And that's perfectly fine and legal and should be celebrated. But again, if you're always walking behind these cats, you will never step in front of them. And I mean, that's one of the main reasons why I started reading all these different books and listening to these different books on tape. On MP3, classic phrases go on. Because if I'm always like, so, Aaron, what's your thoughts? And I only have Aaron's thoughts, or I'm like, Jamie, what's your thoughts? Dan, what's your thoughts? And I'm only digesting those small views, then I can't be, Captain Dark Logos, with the leather jacket or, whatever. I can't be that. I'm always going to be, Lieutenant Dark Logos. And that's a problem. I mean, it's a huge problem. And so understanding the type of hero you are requires a couple of things. All right. First off, acknowledging your strengths, acknowledging your weaknesses, acknowledging then to become the great version of you, the type of attributes that you need to improve, and understanding this, and this is a huge thing, that improving those attributes may or may not come from talking to somebody about heroclix. Okay? Improving the attributes that you need to improve may not come from talking to a person about heroclix. I bring up dancing. I bring up, me going out and talking to people, pick up women, listening to all these different authors, going out there writing, heck, I mean, I used to do a Christian hip hop podcast, I've done various things, lots of various things that I can then incorporate, like what I do here out there and what I've done out there in here. Okay. And a lot of my gains and understanding of tempo has come from dancing. Like I understood board tempo and control before, but then to see it in a actual physical melodic format of seeing like almost like steps being stepped in a dance or keys being pushed on a keyboard, it gives you a different insight than just the, oh yeah, he can do this, and do that. It's like, okay, the flow of battle is going like this. It's sort of like a Tai Chi judo movement. The Tai Chi is slow and it utilizes all the muscles, and you combine it with using your opponent's force from judo, and then you're able to just weave it into this ultimate non-straining throw. But being able to feel the push, the pull, the tension, the conversion of power of your opponent's power back onto themselves, and ultimately the climax of them being on the floor and you are in a submission position. Okay? There's a weaving of understanding that comes from expanding yourself. There's even other games that I play to get a better understanding of heroclix. There's things I've learned from heroclix I've used in other games. But I also know specifically what I'm working on. Okay? I know I need to work on my approach. I know I need to work on my tempo. I know I need to work on how I use TK, my timing with perplex, my first turn, actions. I need to, know what my game plan is going in. I need to know, my map selection. I need to know, what is the intricate, component in my team that can't fail. And if it does fail, that I'm in serious trouble. A lot of people don't go through that. They think that just naturally being afloat, that will save them, or that they will inevitably get to a place of success, of the best version of them. And I'm going to tell you, just real life, that don't happen. That doesn't happen. There is, there's an old phrase that, a lot of folks I've talked to sort of thrown at me is not everyone at sea or not, what was it? Not everyone at sea is lost, or not everybody who is searching is lost. Okay. And it's sort of like a religious slam, but coming back to that sort of analysis and why why it's not true is this. If you have a destination and you are wandering, there is no guarantee that you will arrive to your destination before you naturally perish. No lie. If you have a map will guide you from where you are, or generally where you think you are, to where you need to go. But if you are so far gone that you don't have a map, or even if you have a map, there's symbols there that you don't know how to interpret, and you don't know where you're going or even where you're at, a map is pointless. Eventually, you need a guide. Until it's like, okay, I know where I'm going. A cargo ship does not go out to sea without knowing what port it's going to. And a lot of people think that they will become an ultimate version of themselves by just letting what happens. And then when they start finding things that they don't like about themselves, and the internal dynamic tension builds up, and they're not doing the things that they were told that they were supposed to do, quote unquote, having it all, but nobody ever gets it all, which makes me frustrated when people say, I deserve it all. And I'm like, you deserve what? You saying you should be a god? Okay, cool. Let that delusion ride out. But when all's said and done, no one gets to upper echelons by accident. No one. And how we are told to love ourselves and accept who we are, we have turned that into loving all our failures and accepting our failures and not achieving more because we tolerate and accept our failures. You can't be excellent without pressure. Does that mean that you need to constantly, every day, be doing something that's pushing you forward? No, but you can't afford to take a bunch of days off either. You can't. I have my team, and I'm, developing. I give them assignments that are a week long. 3 to 4 days long. Do they have to have it all resolved in that day that I talk to them? That first day? No, I give them time to mull it over, think about it, come to some realization. Could they, get everything done within 2 days and then just, break and think about other stuff? Yeah, they can. Is that acceptable? Yes, it is, because I have a growth process that I want them to go through organically. But here's the thing. If I had a person on my team and I'm taking out 3, 4, 5 hours of my time in a week to make you better, not just a better heroclix player, a better thinker, a better person, okay? And then you come back to me and say, hey, man, I just didn't do any of those things that you told me. I didn't do that weightlifting. I didn't do that mental exercise. I didn't do that walking. I didn't do that focus exercise that you gave me. And I'm like, all right, cool. Did your world fall apart? And then you're going to be like, nah, man, I just thought I didn't need that. Because I'm me and I accept me. How long do you think that person will last on my team? Realistically, how long do you think that person will last on my team? Not long. 1 week, 2 weeks. Heck, if that keeps up, Mace will probably kick him off. Okay? Now, when we look back at our lives as people, and going back to heroclix, as players, there is so much envy. So much envy. And so much of people believing is awesome desire to be the best player that they want to be. And that's great. But the foolishness is that you are okay where you are, and where you are it entitles you to be on that number one spot. To entitle you to be on table one. And that's never true. I've sat on table one in high level championships and high level games, and at no point in time did I say I deserve to be here. This is my spot the entire time. But my personal mindset is I am glad I am here. I am glad all that work that I've done has got me here. I cannot relax now because the other person that has gotten here has worked as well. No one gets to table one. No one gets to table one by someone's grace alone when it comes to heroclix. Just doesn't. All right, so let's sort of tailor it down and go into interdependence. So I'm listening to this book, and I'm not completely through it. I'm in the first third of it, and I'll say the book because it's pretty good. It's an older book. It's Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I think the guy's name's Stephen Covey or something like that. Anyway, the book and the concepts are excellent. And when I listened to the book, I didn't realize how many other great speakers that I respected sort of jacked stuff from him. That's how good it is. And that's also sort of tells you how sad it is that people don't citate. But anyway, he has something that he gives, which is called the maturity continuum. And the maturity continuum is so good. And it goes like this. He says the bottom level of the maturity continuum is dependence. He says you'll see this in a baby. A baby is completely dependent on the parents to nourish the baby, to take care of the baby, to protect the livelihood of the baby. Okay? And as we grow older, we're supposed to slowly progress out of that dependence. Now, what ends up happening is that a lot of people do not mature out of the dependent stage. And so they will start saying things like, you owe me. Why didn't you tell me? It's not my fault. It's your fault. What's going on here? You didn't inform me. Everything that goes on that's wrong is not due to their own actions. And they expect you or others to make up the slack that has been generated by their foolish activity, inactivity, or just pure on lack of knowledge. Okay? And there's some times where I can say, like, all right, the situation got to the point where it was abusive. Someone needs to step in and act as, authoritative figure. But many times a dependent wants the benefits of being a dependent, but also the leverage of being an independent. Okay? A dependent many times wants the leverage of being a dependent, but then also wants the capabilities of being an independent. And what that pretty much means is they want you to come in there and fix everything and then tell you how to fix everything. And then pat themselves on the back. Yeah, and pat themselves on the back. And say, hey, I did a good job. Thanks for helping me. Wouldn't that sort of tick you off? Yeah. And so identifying those type of people, you gotta start shoving them off, or at least limit their contact as little as possible. Those people are toxic, and they're horrible. They're put shamers. They're put shamers. All right, so then he says the next level is independence, operating by yourself, doing things and being capable of maintaining yourself, taking on responsibilities and doing things on that line. What got me was he sort of broke it down and said, independence is good, but it is not the highest level of maturity. And because of that, a lot of people never get to the next step in the final form of maturity. And I was like, we as a culture, definitely in a Western culture, are hyper individualistic to the point where the idea of interdependence looks like codependency. That's how our maturity has stunted. Okay? We view interdependence as codependence. Codependence is, again, I have this deficiency. I expect you to come in as the leader. The other person has a different deficiency, expecting, the first party to come in as the leader, and they're both yelling at each other, telling them how to fix each other's problems, and then patting themselves on the back after a resolution. It's toxic. It's codependence is a very toxic relationship, because the entire time neither individual is able to be stable. And because neither individual is able to be stable, it creates a function that it just creates a function in which the relationship is always shaky. It was never built on anything stable. And eventually the relationship will crumble. Going further to the highest level of the maturity continuum is interdependence. And interdependence has two functionally independent people able to combine strengths and use each other's strengths to cover the weaknesses of the others to form a functional institution or body. And when I looked at that, I understood, for me personally, why I had a lot of problems with various women and my own self in the past. Because you had two individuals that did not know how to be interdependent and thought that interdependency was codependency. And I've dated some really intellectual women, and the idea of them no longer being independent meant slavery for them, but yet they wanted a dude. Needless to say that did not turn out real well. Okay? That did not turn out real well from a dating perspective. But once I listened to that, I started to realize is that as players, as people, we are not taught to move to a point of interdependence. And that point of interdependence allows us to grow not only safely, but like grow with fertilizer and perfect sunlight and perfect temperature. We are able to be the best forms of ourselves, be that superhero that we want to be, because I'm rolling with other folks on Krypton, and they're, giving me the energy packets. Another guy, he's getting, the ships going to get people off planet. I'm zipping around, gathering as many folks as I can. Another person is running through the planet really fast, like the Flash, getting DNA samples of everything that's on the planet. We got Brainiac programmed right, so he's not psycho, cataloging all the culture and knowledge of Krypton. This place is going to blow, but when it blows, we will have saved everything we can. I can't be saving everyone and save the culture. I can't save the culture and make sure the ships are right. I can't make sure the ships are right and get all the DNA samples. I can't do everything. And I sort of learned this in teaching people recently when I introduced the concept of a Triforce. I have only encountered 1-2 natural Triforces. But people were like, yeah, I'm a Triforce. I can do everything. And they don't understand a Triforce is a way of thinking, of applying what's most efficient to the solution. The most efficient solution to the problem. Not just being able to use everything. You instinctively and naturally and cognitively know that you need to apply a shenanigan. It's not going to be super strong, or it's not going to be super in depth, but it's going to be there. You need to apply aggro. It's not going to be perfectly timed, but it's going to be just enough. You need to apply defense. You need to go back and retreat to the certain point and put up barrier or put up smoke cloud or use mind control like this to run your opponent Superman off into the corner. But it's not necessarily in the nuanced sense of, if I mind control that Superman to this square right here, he's this many squares away, and then I have him bust this wall here, which blocks line of fire for so-and-so because I have Batman TA, and then, that just makes it all a lot easier. So that means that my opponent's next turn, they got to use all 3 actions just to reset the board. Okay, so you can even see, in me breaking that down, I'm not even a natural Triforce, but the illusion of not needing anyone, of being superior in all stages, even though that's not what a Triforce is. A Triforce is able to utilize all 3 aspects of thinking, the defense, the aggro, and the shenanigans, and apply it properly and has no favoritism. But the concept in ourselves is complete independence from everything. And it's funny because, Christian or not, a concept in Genesis that hit me when the snake was talking to Eve, when the snake said, you eat this apple and you will be like God. We have that drive, the complete independence, no fear of danger, ultimate safety. Our word is the existence. It is so tempting in everything in us, even for the drive to be a natural Triforce. Even with people I taught or even have conversations with, is this grand pinnacle of achievement, but there's a limitation to what a Triforce can do. A Triforce growth is slow. It's many times it's not very nuanced. Whereas the game is progressing, having levels of nuance is important. And just being able to play stuff out doesn't mean that you're always going to see the greatest option, but you can understand what one of the best options are. When you build your team, you don't have an extreme high end, slanted option. You have many times a well-balanced option that's able to do many things well. And there's a role for that. There's roles for that. There's places to come in. Like, when I had Dragon on my team for Teams World Championships, he's a natural Triforce, just intellectually. And when I quizzed him, it's like, whatever was the best and most efficient and how he can see it playing out. And he applied force properly. He didn't have, a favoritism. But with that, there were some things that's like, okay, yeah, we can round this out. But I didn't have to say let's sit down and work, because the cat been in the game longer than I had, but he knew who he was. He knew his role. So you have Dragon, Triforce Cat. You got me, defensive shenanigans. You got Mace, full on aggro, nuclear option aggro, okay? And you got us together on a team. And so when we're divvying up pieces, because our natural play styles differed so much, I was easily saying like, okay, well, Mace is going to get that. I can put this together. This is crazy. I can do this. This is some mad scientist shenanigans here. I got that, and then we were building stuff for Dragon. And it's like, okay, cool. And he's like, no, I need this. I need that. Can we exchange that one piece you have over there, Edward, with this? Okay, cool. Bam. And he's good. We were crying about our pools, but that happens in Sealed. But still, like the first day, Dragon didn't do that great. Second day, he was on fire. I was doing crappy. I was doing great the first day. I was doing great. Second day, not so great. So I'm throwing that out to you. Definitely, because occasionally, like I said, I do get the emails like, I'm a Triforce. I'm like, you're probably not. But that's not to say that you're going to reach this point of hyper independence. No. That's why I'm saying, like, get friends, talk to people, network, contact, because as you have that higher level of maturity continuum, that interdependence, you're able to rejuvenate yourself through others, get a greater space and understanding of the game and of yourself. And then from there, you're able to identify the route that you need to go through to become the better you, to encounter the dangers, recognizes the evils in yourself, and deal with them. The great philosophical question that I've dealt with is not the problem of evil. Evil is there due to naturalism, just the natural state. The greatest problem, philosophical problem that we have, is the nature of good. Why is there good? Because heck, even Dawkins said, nature abhors a hero, for it saves the weak that needs to be culled. Why is there a hero? And for you to be Superman on Krypton, you have to be the epitome of the anti-establishment of the natural order. You have to be the epitome of the anti-establishment to the natural order. If the natural order is death, you need to be a life giver. And being a life giver means being the best version of you. Not the dink you, not the sarcastic bastard you, not the guy that's only good 3 days a week, but the best version of you. And to do that, you got to know who you are. You have to recognize the situations around you, and it's going to blow up. And you have to depend on other people to cover your weaknesses. But it requires you to be honest about all of it. And most people don't even get that far. Their Kal-El on Krypton is blowing up. They don't know who to call. They don't know what to do. Their family insignia is looking down on them, pulling them and saying, you can be more than what you are now. But they collapse and say, this is a job for someone else. So I'm telling to you, the listener, no, this is a job for Superman. All right. That's today's show. I know it's a little bit more philosophical, a little bit more in your head stuff. But I think it's just more of me wanting to give you probably about like 5% of the stuff that I've gleaned and going to like compound here for my team in like the next month and a half. I'm still reading books. I'm still listening to books. Like once I finish with this and my nephew comes over, nephew time, I'm going to be listening to more of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Yeah. So, all right. You can follow me on Twitter It came from outer space and told me, man, good thing you got everything onto those capsules. Just watch out for the Battlestar Galactica complex. Just because you get off Krypton doesn't mean that everything is gravy. You can find my random musings and when the next show is going to be put up. You can also subscribe. Subscribe helps me with my rankings on YouTube. You can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com if you wish to opine. Keep it piffy, keep it interesting, keep it awesome, baby. Tell me what you thought of this episode. And more importantly, tell me, how do you see you moving towards the best version of the heroclix player you are, or even the best version of the person you are. I know I got like tons of notes working on that. Then you can go to the blog, startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com. There you can donate to the show with the little PayPal link. Boop, bloop. And anything that you do will donate will be going to the show. I'm going to, really want a graphics card. And I want a PS4. I can't have both. I can't have both, babies. So I'm still wrestling. I didn't get any emails about that. I'm sort of surprised. So, yeah. I got to check the YouTube comments again, see if people put in the YouTube comments. And buy my shirt. Link in the description below. And that's it. All right. Thanks for listening. And remember, we all have to start over sometime.